Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. I would just want to talk about exponents. As we ease back into 2021, I want to make sure we take things nice and slow, make sure we really understand these rules. What I'm going to talk about today should not be anything new, because when we talk about exponents, remember we have, let me change colors here, I'm sorry. We have a base, so this is what we call the base, and then we have the exponent. Okay. So in this case, what we're going to do is use these symbols, I guess, and change that or simplify it by using exponents. So I'm going to start with 51 squared because there are two of them. And then I'm going to go ahead and combine all these x's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So that would be 51 squared times x to the 6th times y times z. Now, I put multiplication symbols in between. You can also squish them together. So it'd be 51 squared, x to the 6th, y, z. One thing I want to talk about is when we have variables, they should be in alpha order. Okay, so they should be in alphabetical order. So let's look at some more of these. So in this case, we have xyz, xyz, xyz. This one can actually be done two different ways. We can do x, y, z, and cube it. But remember, this is all multiplication. So this is like saying x times y times z times x times y times z and so on. I guess I'll complete that. So we can also write it as x to the 3rd times y to the 3rd times z to the 3rd. So these two things actually mean the same thing. They just look a little bit different. All right, here's another one. With the negative hanging out outside, that matters. So this one can actually be written in a couple of different ways as well. So we can write negative on the outside, 12 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th power, like so. We can write it as negative 12 to the 5th power. We can also write it as negative. You could put the 12 in parentheses and then that to the 5th power. So this one can be written in some different ways. Keep in mind, you can also multiply it out. You can also do 12 to the 5th power, but obviously those values are going to get pretty large. All right. Now in this case, we have a special situation because that negative is attached to the 8s. That negative needs to go inside some parentheses to make sure that we continue to multiply negative 8 times negative 8. Because remember, this means that you're making the whole thing negative. So this would not be correct. This is not correct. Let me put that back there so you can see. That is not good for this situation anyway. So we have negative 8 to the 4th and then x cubed, or to the 3rd power. All right, now we're going to write this using exponents. But before we do that, I want you to notice that there are values in the numerator and the denominator. So we can, that are the same. So we can actually kind of divide. So if you have x over x, that actually has a value of 1, so we can eliminate those. And we also have y over y, so we can eliminate those. So we're kind of simplifying as we go. Now I'm going to write it using exponents. So negative 12 in parentheses, because remember each one is negative, so that's why it has to stay in that little package, cubed in the numerator. And then the denominator, we have y squared z. Remember, we eliminated these two pairs because that's like multiplying times 1 over 1. It doesn't change the value. All right, now in this case, we're going to expand these. So I'm going to take the 15 and I'm going to multiply it times itself 3 times because that's the way an exponent works. Now PR, this one can be done a couple of different ways. We could do PR times PR, or we can do 15 times 15 times 15 times P times R times R. Because it's multiplication, order does not matter. All right, last but not least, I don't know why that 3 got so large, but you get the idea here. 6 is only going to be a 6. Then we would have times A, times A, times A, times A, and then times B, times B, times B. That 3 just got enlarged for some reason. And there's really no other way we can write this.